Hi everyone, I'm Cameron, founder of Bell Systems and creator of FaceCommand, the software we're gonna be looking at today. We're just gonna be going over the main gestures and settings today in the software. So, quick reminder: the software turns facial gestures into various computer commands. So, you can see the full list here of all the gestures on the left, as well as live readings. If I click this all gestures, I can set it to active only. And you can see I have wink right as the only gesture currently. And so if I right wink, I get a right click. And you can see over here in the action log that gets tracked there. So I'll set this back to all gestures so you can see that it tracks all these all the time. I'm going to hit the recalibrate button up here. That just does exactly what it sounds like. Kind of like a recentering. Doesn't have to be done often. I'm just demonstrating it. So what you can do with these individual gestures, of which there are 12, we have eyebrow raise, left eyebrow, right eyebrow, brow furrow, blink, wink left, wink right, smile, mouth open, pucker, left smirk, right smirk. And on top of that, we also have head up, down, left, and right. And you can see those demonstrated here. And the individual gestures can all send different trigger actions, which are set right here. So I'll do wink left, we'll turn it on. And right now it's set to double click. These are all the actions on this list that you can do. And this is a growing list. We are adding stuff all the time. So the first is key press. This is a regular keystroke. So right now it's set to W. So if I go over here and set that on there, and I wink left, I hit a W. And you can see how fast it is. It's very quick. You can, for any of these gestures, you can set, well, we're going to talk down. The bar here is obviously the activity, the detection bar. The threshold is when the trigger action actually gets triggered. So I have it at 87. If I set it all the way here, it won't activate until it's there. So I turn it down here, it'll activate there. You can see it tracked here in the activity log. Ignore the little dot that shows up here when I'm making off. We'll address that in another video. You can also affect the sensitivity. So if we turn this down, then when I wink, you can see it doesn't go up very far. Whereas if I turn it up, it's very, very sensitive. Dead zone basically cuts out the first motion. That's basically kind of the trigger to minimize accidental triggers. And honestly, all of these settings are intended to minimize accidental triggers. You use them in conjunction to get your most responsive setting without it firing you don't want. Another method relating to that is this hold time override. By default, all of the gestures are set to the hold time that's set here. That affects all of these together. But if you want a specific gesture to take longer before it triggers, you can set this. And so here it'll be, this is milliseconds, so 747 milliseconds is 0.7 seconds. Is that enough? So if I hold down right, it doesn't trigger until that time. It's held down. I can set it higher, and same thing. It takes that long. So if we move on to the next trigger actions, we have left click, right click, double click, middle click, So we can demonstrate that. There's also different trigger modes. We'll go back to right click to demonstrate. Or I'm sorry, left click to demonstrate. So right now, if I wink, it just does the one left click. Where if I set it to hold, this would let me drag like that. I can draw a box. I can also set it to toggle. So I click once, and now it's on until I blink again, and it's off. Analog doesn't apply to anything that's just a button like that. It's intended for joysticks, like that we'll cover in another video. But all of the gestures can technically send analog. So let's set this back to single, and then we'll go to the next. So those same trigger mode options apply to right click as well. Scroll up and down, or like you'd expect. And drag toggle is going to be removed because it's superfluous. Mouse left, right, up and down. These are handy for a lot of things because you can use them in conjunction with regular mouse movement and it not always interfere if you have the threshold high enough. So, for instance, in first-person gaming, first-person shooters, you aim by moving the mouse, but you also turn by moving the mouse. But if you're someone like me who can't use the mouse to lift it, you can't actually turn. And so this setting lets you do that because I can set head left to mouse left and then set it to a decently high threshold. And then what happens is it moves the mouse over here. And so like you can see it moving up. I'll lower the threshold a little so you can see it easier. You can see how it's just moving, doing it. What that does is it lets you turn in an FPS. Of course, you can set this to more than mouse left. You can set it to any of these other triggers as well. But it's especially handy in situations like that. And there's each of those directions for each. So the next commands or the trigger actions are related to computer stuff, like running a command. Let me go down. Let's go back up here. So if we go to a run command, you can type it just like in a command prompt. You can also launch a program in the more traditional way, a path that you can get to this way. And you can close the program same way, either via path or you can scan all of your running processes and you can just select the process from that list and it'll close it. Display text is handy for people who have communication limits. So you can say, hey, and then when I'm right link, it shows hey on the screen. And so you can set a number of gestures to different text commands. Email is kind of similar, but it sends an email. We do have a few pre-programmed messages in here, like you send my room, and you set. I already have it configured here for my email. I'll work that out. But you put in the recipient here, and as soon as you do the gesture, it'll send that email. And then we have gamepad buttons, which is an Xbox controller. as well as the gamepad axes. Alt tab is a nice one. Um, I'll work on that more in the future to give you more of a control over what it does. But it does currently do the basic task of moving you to the next window, which is sometimes really critical if you're kind of semi-frozen. Similar for the task manager, always useful to have that. And recalibrate does what we already covered there. Toggle gestures lets you turn them on and off. Let me turn another one on so you can see. It'll always leave the one on that you have. That way you can turn them back on. But you can. That's not working right. I'll address that. For some reason, this isn't coming back on, but it's supposed to. So let me figure out why. You can see the right eyebrow is coming on correctly. I think I know why. It's because I'm using my link left and another pattern up here. We'll address that later. But to demonstrate, you can turn off all of your other gestures, and then when you turn them back on, the ones that you had all on before you turn them off will come back on. You can see there's a little recommended kind of warning here. It says use with gesture chain or Morse chain to minimize pulse activations. And we'll get into that in the next video. I just wanted to cover the basics of trigger actions in this one. So that's pretty much it. You can import and export different profiles for different use cases like gaming, modeling, writing, kind of daily driving. The other settings down here in the global center, the smoothing. If I turn this down, you can kind of see that it's a little bit more jittery over here. Whereas as I turn it up, they smooth out. So that's what that does. Cooldown is how quickly you can fire gestures back to back. This is another kind of prevents accidents. We discuss whole time, and tilt compensation is still being ironed out. It helps some, but basically it's as you turn your head up and down, you can see you get some false activations in a couple different gestures like eyebrows, furrow. And I'm trying to address that, and we're getting there, but it doesn't work perfectly yet. So something to keep in mind. If you want to see more of this, please do subscribe, like, and comment, and give me feedback if you'd like to use this. We're currently still giving out free keys because we're still in the fairly early stages of development, even though it's a pretty powerful tool already. I use it every day. I have spinal muscular atrophy, and I made it for me, and then realized that there's more use cases out there for it. So we're going to be trying to add a lot more features. There's more I haven't even covered yet in this video that we'll cover soon. So stay tuned.